Welcome back, everyone, to Red Spotlight Entertainment. I'm Alexis, and I'm joined by David Francisco, of course, for our Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reaction commentary series. We've been having such a blast with doing these episodes and this reaction of this wonderful show for so many weeks now, and of course, especially with getting now into the season 2 vibes of it all, and it's vibing. We're vibing. This is such a really good season. We're shot straight into the action, and maybe even building some character along the way. This will be the reaction commentary for episode number 3 of season 2, that is Making Friends and Influencing People. This was written by Monica Owusu-Breen and directed by Bobby Roth. This was broadcast on October 7th, 2014, to 4.47 million viewers. Our guest appearances this week include BJ Britt as Antoine Triplett, Reed Diamond as Daniel Whitehall, Henry Simmons as Alfonso Mac McKenzie, Simon Cassiandes as Sunil Bakshi, Maya Stojan as Agent 33, Dylan Minnett as Donnie Gill, and Adam Kolbrish as Kenneth Turgeon. And of course, our main cast members include Clark Gregg, Ming-Na Wen, Brett Dalton, Chloe Bennett, Ian DeCastricker, Elizabeth Henstridge, and Nick Blood as Lance Hunter. So... As far as this week is concerned, we've got a lot to get through. Before we even get into our reaction for this one, we need to obviously go back and read what some of our wonderful friends left for us in our first 2, I believe, right? Reactions, or just last week? I can't even tell anymore.
Just first episode, this one. So we have something to talk about for the next one.
Oh yes, yes, that would make the most sense. Thank you for keeping that pretty clear. Let's go ahead and get into the comments then for episode 1 of season 2.
First one's by Silva Surfa. Always good to hang out with you, Agent David and Agent Alexis. I love season 2, but I have to get out of my system as much as I can about my hate for Hunter. You mentioned Nick Blood taking a full-time cast slot over BJ Britt, which infuriated me. It was such disrespect for BJ, in my opinion, especially since Nick Blood is nowhere near as likable as or charismatic, in my opinion. I am of the opinion that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would have been more watched by the public if the show kept Tripp, Hartley, and Idaho over Hunter, Mac, and later on Lincoln. Now that I got that out of the way, I'll try not to mention my disdain for Hunter until season 3. Let's begin the awesome season 2.
A lot to say there. I gotta say, I love the hatred. I love the hatred. Keep the hate on coming. Yes. Look, we're not always going to like everything some of our favorite shows or films do. This may be a case in point. I appreciate the passion. I appreciate the spirit. Continue to keep speaking your truth. I wish I could say I understand on any level whatsoever. I feel like Nick Blood is I would Lance Hunter is just a character. Tripp is wonderful. But hey, to each their own, right? I don't really got more to say on that because I'm sure there's plenty more down the line.
I can slightly agree with Silva about keeping Tripp on the show, but I feel like anyone fan of the show would probably agree with that. Would just want Tripp back in general.
Yeah.
So yeah. Next one, same person. In my headcanon, Sky and Tripp were friends with benefits between season 1 and season 2. They have great chemistry, far more than Garbage Lincoln, and it works for me since Sky rarely sees Coulson during this stretch of AOS timeline, and thus giving her freedom to enjoy a life post-Ward. I also feel this relationship with Tripp would add greatly to her difficult transition into an Inhuman later on, especially since he gave his life trying to protect her after saving everyone from the explosive in the Kree City. It's an interesting headcanon. I can understand their relationship more than really anyone else's, based not counting Fritz and Simmons, really. So, next one. Wanted to expand on my love for Robbie Reyes in season 4 due to your comment about people liking season 4 only because of Ghost Rider. As an old school 616 comic fan, Danny Ketch, the 90s Ghost Rider, is my favorite version of the character. I loathe most Marvel comics and characters post 1996, including Robbie Reyes' Ghost Rider, so it was a great surprise to me to find myself so attached to Gabriel Luna's performance as Robbie in AOS Season 4. Also, as an old Chicano dork, yes, I am a dude by the way, hello. It was nice to see a fellow Chicano character be written so well, without the pandering or any forced woke tropes as we talked about before. Thanks again for being genuine and encouraging these back and forths with fans of this amazing show.
Of course, of any time, and I really do appreciate your perspective. And I can definitely relate to just having amazing kind of, or really any kind of representation when it comes to people who are in the Latino, Latinx, whatever you want to call it, space. I feel like the show had a good variety amount of that, especially with Yo-Yo later on. One thing I would just add on to that comment, not to put words in his mouth, I would only just want to provide some context to when I would say that people love season 4 for Ghost Rider. I didn't mean that was like I felt like when I mentioned that or said that, I was just saying that people who didn't already like the show tuned in to season 4 for Ghost Rider only, and then proceeded to complain as to why this wasn't just a Ghost Rider show. And then didn't really care to follow it up with the better arcs, which were LMD or the Framework. So just to put a bit of context to that, because I am of the persuasion that season 4 is outstanding for really no shortage of reasons. Ghost Rider, of course, being one of them. But just to clarify that particular, just the way that one of that, something there came off caught my eye, and I wanted to just clarify that. And again, not putting words in his mouth, but just say like, hey, there were plenty of people at the time who were only watching the show just because Ghost Rider was on there. You know, I love John Schnepp, the late great John Schnepp with all my heart, obviously, but I also kind of was like fuming privately when he was basically, in a polite way, mind you, not that he was being mean about it, but in a polite way saying that while he was enjoying all the Robbie Reyes stuff on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he really wished there wasn't all this other Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff that was in the way. Which is really kind of backhanded and insulting if you think about it for more than just a couple of seconds. And so it definitely, to me, it just continued to show how it didn't really matter anymore what the show did. Maybe it would get people's attention for a minute, but people just had already made up their minds whether or not they wanted to invest themselves in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters. They just wanted comic characters. And so whenever they would do anything remotely related to connectivity, that's when the broader Marvel audience, maybe I'll catch it. But then they weren't going to stick around for very longer because the second Ghost Rider wasn't around. Well, I guess my reason to care has ceased to exist. And then you wonder why somebody like me would be better about that. Anyway, next.
Yeah, next one's from Gary Marshall. I love how the writers start each season. They drop you in at the deep end and expect you to swim. Seeing Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter is always such fun. And then we cut to the present day and see Sky sail into view in full combat gear, and then craziness occurs for the rest of the episode. Season 1 gets some criticism for the cookie cutter cast of characters, but I feel this was intentional. The writers are like, here are 6 individuals in a team: leader, fighter, spy, hacker, scientist. Feel like saying hitter, hacker, grifter, thief for leverage fans. Guess that's a reference. And over the course of 136 episodes, we are going to put them through a number of ordeals, and let's see how it changes them. And boy, do they change, for good and bad, over the course of the show. Which, yeah. I mean, that is what you do for any show or really any story. You just start from start to end. You change them, you make them become something.
At least the good
different.
ones.
At least the good ones, yeah. I mean, it's for one. I mean, on the good parts of Arrow, you know, he started off as being, you know, a killer hunter basically, and all that. And then through the course of the show, he reconciles with what he did in the past, and everything tries to become better. That's always in the beginning of every episode. He had to be something more, and all that. You know, that's basically what you do. And some people didn't like that for some reason for this show specifically. Next one. I watched a number of AOS reactions, and I don't recall a single one spotting that Simmons isn't there. And as you've pointed out, the clues, much like an Agatha Christie novel, are all there, but written, shown in such a way to fool us all. There is even a scene where Simmons has a hand on Fisk's shoulder, which disappears in the next long shot, and the reveal gets me every time. There is, however, a real Simmons interaction, as when May enters the Coulson's office. He is on the phone saying, "Sorry, that's all I can give you. Try to move up with your head down. And hey, only use a dead drop from now on. There aren't enough payphones left in this country." Something that we will see Gemma doing in 2 episodes' time. I didn't even think that he was probably talking to her.
It never occurred to me, and I'm pretty sure I read this comment a few weeks ago whenever this was mentioned. But I didn't even think that would be Simmons on the line.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, especially since they had put the quote, yeah, I guess that does make sense.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's really cool.
That's a pretty cool catch. I never caught that. I just assumed he was talking to some rando agent.
Yeah.
Because he's the director now, and he would be on the phone talking to spies all over the world, right? But that's a pretty cool catch. I like that. I had never noticed that before.
Yeah, it's cool. One other detail to know is that Simmons' voice has changed a little from season 1. Season 1 Simmons has a slightly higher pitch, as Lil thought it would make her sound more intelligent, but season 2 Simmons is Lil's regular voice. That's cool. I probably won't even notice that.
Again, that's also something where I'm thinking, like, maybe in the moment, it's not something I would have caught, but you see, it's little touches like that, little touches like that, where when you think about it, in this episode that we're going to watch, it's really going to help, kind of sell that point. But I remember watching in season 2, there were these subtle differences in the way that Elizabeth Henstridge was playing Simmons, where I'm like, wow, you're not at all the same. Mm-hmm. There's like a big change in all of these subtle nuances. And again, like, a lot of praise, honestly, that we throw at this show. But one of the things that, not bad, right, for these small-time TV actors, I say in quotation marks, but what tremendous work here. And I honestly feel it's really underrated, right, for especially performers like Elizabeth Henstridge, who's playing the same character for, like, years and years and years. Well, how, as an actor, can you flesh out your character? It's stuff like this. I would never have caught that, and I probably did catch it. I just could never articulate. I'm like, oh yeah, I think that is, yeah. I just didn't notice it. Mm-hmm. That's part of the job. That's part of the job, right?
No, yeah.
Subtlety. That's incredible.
Yeah, I like it. That's all the comments for the episode.
All right. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into this episode. Making friends and influencing people. Pretty interesting how there were a lot of Simmons-oriented comments, and, well, this is going to be a Simmons-oriented episode. When it starts, and as we will see, it automatically gets you like, what the fuck? Anyway.
Previously on Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And of course, we have some of Simmons' dialogue from the first season there to compare. We'll see how it goes. We're seeing some flashbacks here to Donnie Gill, who we're going to see, as I mentioned, obviously, in the first opening moments of this video.
$10 seemed so expensive back then. And now, one bottle costs over $2,000.
I wonder why he doesn't have his accent on this one, the German accent. Does that ever get explained? Do you remember? Or
I believe in second chances. I want us to work together.
At some point, he drops the accent. It's never really established at what point in the timeline he drops it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find meaning, surrender, and you'll find release.
There is a reason I believe that the accent was dropped because he did exist as an entity before S.H.I.E.L.D. fell. Like, he didn't... His real name is Werner Reinhardt, a Nazi Hydra guy, and so he needs to differentiate himself from that. So I think him taking on the American accent is his way of doing that, as well as the name Daniel Whitehall.
Mm.
You and I both know the Faustus method takes time. I've got plenty.
Well, I mean, I can understand him not having the accent for like these sort of situations where he's like talking to people, especially in present time and all that. I don't know. I'm curious if like maybe he does drop it when he's by himself, someone he trusts or something.
I think that the idea is he has so abandoned the persona of Werner Reinhardt and has embraced Daniel Whitehall that this is the new him.
Okay. Yeah.
Which is why that's how it is. Mm-hmm. This is what I meant to say. This song choice and this sequence has always been one of my favorites. Because it's so like, it's so warm and fuzzy and like, oh, look, it's Simmons.
I'm getting used to sleeping.
And then it ends with like a,
what? What?
I remember watching this, I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I didn't believe it, obviously, but I'm like, okay, where's this gonna go? She's making it work, you know?
Yeah.
Touch me in a way a boy could
Because
never.
at first, I think it's meant to get you thinking like, oh, this is Simmons' life outside of S.H.I.E.L.D. She left it behind.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also gets you in a different way when it shows you the damn logo. And then, of course, with the theme, bum, bum, right there.
Preacher said a prayer for me. God help the...
You best believe I have every single like needle drop that this show has ever featured. I've got that song on my playlist. So yes, Don't Fear the Reaper from season 1 was a memorable choice. So was this in season 2. This song, if I hear it, I see these scenes in my mind.
Yes, you see those samples you gave me of
Oh, I'll read all about it once you finish your report.
Have it on my desk as soon as possible.
Right there. It's really interesting because the Hydra theme of Bill McCurry, if you hear it too long, it might have a similar resemblance to Kylo Ren's theme by John Williams. Just a little bit. Not that it's the same thing.
I imagine they were all Ward.
Imagine they're all targets. Don't get cocky.
This is a big episode for Daisy in the background because she kills somebody in this episode. It's her first kill. I don't even remember who, but you'll see.
61 beats per minute, consistent the whole time.
Which is really interesting because I'm glad that we're getting a chance to see her being trained along the way because she's, again, this is all new for us to get used to. Like what Skye is a field agent now, and so these scenes help to see how she's progressing as an agent, but it also gives us to see how much May and Skye have really grown and bonded with each other.
All right, well, have fun with the inventory. And remember, Koenig likes some neat. Oh, and none of those Euro 7s with the lines.
I'm sure Mac fucking cheated. I'm sure he knew that.
Coulson said you were a field agent with a badge and everything.
More like a work-study thing. Badge I had for like a day before S.H.I.E.L.D.
Isn't that funny? It's so fucked up.
Idaho, if on a job someone ended up dead, he'd go to church, light the candle.
You're wondering if I've ever taken anyone out.
Foreshadowing. But I also like this moment because, I mean, look, Hunter's trying to get to know these people, actually. So that shows something about him.
If you want, I could accompany you, present my analysis.
No, you don't want to go up there. The higher you go, the scarier it is.
Then why work for Nazis? Just saying. I'm just saying, right? Like,
who are you speaking to? Huh?
They threatened me. They said you were dangerous. And...
Mr. Gill.
Yeah. Pretty dangerous, I would say.
Yeah.
I guess it does make sense, but I guess from a rational standpoint, I'm like, what that guy said was like so kind of generic and non-specific that the fact that Gil was like immediately jumping like, what have you heard? Who told you? And I'm like, calm the fuck down. Like, this is a bit much. And I guess, well, we find out that they won't leave him alone. Neither Hydra or S.H.I.E.L.D., I guess. But again, Jesus Christ. This really also just tells us, like, okay, well, maybe we don't need Donnie around. Like, if he's gonna just, like, nonchalantly kill anybody that comes along his way, good or bad, well, maybe we're better off without him in play. So it should also just tell us, like, we shouldn't feel bad if he gets ultimately, like, shot or eliminated, because, like, okay, well, if he can't be controlled, then you put him down.
This could also just show that this has happened more than once, and he's just not taking any chances.
Did you think I wouldn't find out?
And it's also something new for this show, right? Because season 1, kind of the reoccurring themes were, okay, we'll take these people who can't control themselves and we'll help them out. We're not in that world anymore, and this team doesn't have the real estate any longer to accommodate every little person that needs help. Then again, it's not that strange. They did have the first person that they had to put down with Chan, I believe, or whoever is in Girl in the Flower Dress. They couldn't contain him, and they had to basically eliminate him. So it has been introduced before, but now we're at a point where we don't have the time to care as much.
Got steak, grass-fed. Fingerling potatoes, kale, organic.
But I love this whole interaction was like, did you think I wouldn't find out? And we're all like, he knows she's Hydra. And then, of course, it's bullshit. He's just here to do recon.
Do you remember Donnie Gill?
From the academy?
But again, such dad mode, right? Like, he's brought home a healthy, like, dinner and is gonna, like, cook for her, and also judging her for, like, what she's keeping in her refrigerator. By the way, nice apartment.
Yeah. Have you made friends?
Sir, you don't need to worry. I mean, it's been a tad lonely, true, but...
It's for the job. Come on. You know this.
If you're gonna move up in Hydra, you need to make friends.
Be like Wood.
I like the idea, though, of, like, Coulson, okay, well, how can I get the advantage over Hydra? Well, let's just do to them what they did to us. Let's have some of our own sleepers in Hydra.
So, how is everyone?
Fitz is okay. He's hanging in there.
There's a lot to be read off of her body language there, right? Because she didn't specifically ask Fitz, even though Coulson knew that's who she meant, which should suggest just a lot of unresolved uncomfortableness in that space with him.
Oh, he had trouble making friends.
Anything else?
I don't know, maybe ask Gemma if you have a contact number for her.
I love the saltiness in that comment, and that everybody just like brushed that off. It's like, are we gonna like, are you okay there? I don't know, just go ask Gemma if you have her number. And we're just like, we're just not gonna touch that?
I'll give you a choice.
So what do they give you? Money? Threats? Torture? Combo platter?
It is a sad commentary, and it will be coming into play later in the episode, how at this point,
Garrett is the
in the
reason you're a
team,
cold-blooded killer.
Ward is more useful than Fitz.
That's the difference between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra.
And that's why Hydra will win. Because while a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent is considering right and wrong, Hydra's already taken the shot.
I really forget how much of the episode really spends foreshadowing, because I feel like you already know what's going to happen based on like her interaction with May in the episode about like, and then even Hunter asking Skye if she's ever taken anyone out, and then even here with Ward, it's pretty clearly telegraphed looking back that Skye's going to kill Donnie Gill because he needs to be taken out. By the way, spoiler, David, if you don't recall that, sorry.
Nah,
but I just wanted to put it out there because I'm just telling you, they're showing you already. And it's also not as simple as Skye put it. It's like, because S.H.I.E.L.D. also needs to take people out. Like, Gifted particularly, okay, sure, you can qualify it even if they don't pose a threat. But when they do pose a threat, S.H.I.E.L.D. has no qualms about...
But to Salty's, happy hour and karaoke could be a load
Hey,
of...
Miss Simmons.
Call me Gemma.
I wasn't saying Ward was right, by the way. I'm just saying it's a bit more nuanced in the way Skye was putting it. And she will come to know that herself in this episode. That was a nice pan.
Mm-hmm. Also, her look here, just completely different from the first season. Because it makes sense for Skye to kind of just be more combat, I guess, oriented for this. And this one, with her, it's not combat, but it's just plain and everything. So it's just really showing how much different, in a sense, she is when she's with Hydra.
My loyalties are with science. So long as Hydra allows me to do the work I want to be doing, then yes, my loyalties are with Hydra.
It's a really insane idea, I guess, to us as the audience. Is like so much a hilarious running joke in season 1 was how terrible of a liar Simmons was. And you're telling me that Coulson thought it was a good idea to throw her to be an undercover agent with Hydra, of all people, where she could be executed or shot in the face at any time. But he recognized that she had the potential to do this. And look at, I mean, she's holding up pretty well. And she's able to pass off her nervousness and anxiousness in a rather authentic way where it's working.
Their seeds need the heat of that fire to crack open and be born, to literally rise from the ashes, and they will live for 1,000 years.
Was that a Hitler quote? I don't know. It just sounds like something that he would say. But I guess this also just gets you into how insane this man is. What the...
Act with authority.
Get a grip.
Bakshi, I trust you to do what needs to be done.
I mean, look at how much pleasure he is taking in this.
They're taking the bus, you know what that means? It means we got the night off. Koenig's on assignment and won't be hogging the Xbox.
It's really interesting that in this stage of the series, early on in season 2, they're using part of the common area as a kind of situation room. But I think the further away we get from, like, the first part of season 2 is very much about, you know, all the secrecy of Coulson and trying to keep them at distance. But the more we move away from that, the more they really just meet up in Coulson's office, and that becomes like their situation room where, and I hope people know what I mean by a situation room. It's like basically like the main base of operations where they're, you know, running their missions off of, and then they meet together. So like basically what they were doing just then, when they were huddling up and they were going over their mission, that's what they would do on the bus in that holotable. Well, not the downstairs lab one, but the one in the upstairs. That's where they would have their recon. That's what I mean when I say the situation room. So something, just a little bit of something to note of, because they don't do many of those around what we just saw. More so in The Office.
It's going to get cold.
Again, as Tripp said, not very subtle, Donnie.
Yeah.
I'm pissed off.
By the way, he's pretty fucking lethal. Like, he will kill you with a touch.
Yeah.
Oh boy. By the way, is it just me, or is this episode flying by?
Oh yeah, for sure.
We're already halfway through.
I mean, that's just like with what's going on with the story itself, but like I really like that with this little progression of Fitz, you know, being more, how would I say, just
I imagine you've got a lot to say to me.
doing more stuff with the team, wanting to do more stuff with the team and everything.
Right.
And I mean, this is like kind of the first step of him being like, you're not real, and then
it's interesting because
taking action.
I don't think many people think of this as like one of the definitive Fitz-Simmons episodes, but this is a pretty big episode for both Simmons and Fitz. They're just not together. They're just apart.
Stop talking. Stop.
See, again, I can't believe I don't remember much of this season, because like you think I would remember something like this.
Yeah.
But I'm generally thinking like, okay, what's the heck is Ward gonna say? Is he gonna
Here's the
feel
thing,
bad
David.
once he, like-
David, here's the thing. 136 episodes, 7 years. Okay? It's a lot to keep in your head.
Versus with Coulson and Lola. It's a car. It flies. Yeah, this is my first.
Good callback to the hilarious moment in season 1.
I packed your shooting. According to my ex, my folding skills are abysmal.
Another mention of the ex. I wonder if we're gonna meet the ex pretty soon.
I gave you a fighting chance to find a way out like you always do. Like you did.
You know, the twisted thing about this is I believe Ward when he says that.
Yeah.
And I believe that that was a part of his rationale, but that also just reminds you what a fucked up mind he has. Okay, sure. But more likely than not, that would have killed them. And you also really fucked up Fitz, and that's really on you. But also, pretty good fucking karma. And again, Fitz has been pretty fucking on one this whole episode. Like he's just in a bit of a bitchy mood. And this move right here,
I'm showing you what it's like when you're deprived.
I gotta say, I respect the fucking hate, the savagery that we see right here. Come on. That's pretty fucking poetic to see what it's like.
That's funny.
It's a great transition. I forgot about that one. That's an amazing transition.
Hey, what the hell, man? I just took out the boomers.
I love Mac's reaction, like, what the hell? But also, notice a bit of a transition, something that separates this season from the last. They weren't using icers there to stun Hydra. They were using real bullets. So, bit of an interesting note.
Agent May shot me.
Repeat?
May shot me.
Man, I wanted to be the one.
Simmons is...
Maintain her cover.
Your source?
My source.
I love that all secrets are coming out too. You're
Right,
just like-
right. By the way, I so love the fact that they, for a couple episodes now, they were like, okay, how is May gonna get Hunter back for shooting her? And they didn't let it go.
Yeah.
It happened.
So we're even, right?
We are.
I'm serious. I love her, but her trying to lie, it is a horror show.
Maybe before, but not anymore. She can handle it. She's good. She's not the only one.
3 things there. Sky's obviously not wanting to talk about it, but she's affected by the fact that she just killed somebody. She's disturbed at the fact that Coulson is keeping secrets from her, not more than one, it looks like here. And she's disgusted at the idea of that, and frightened, honestly, that Simmons is undercover in Hydra. So she's going through a lot.
Did she ask to go on the assignment? Did she want to leave?
The reason why Fitz is asking these questions is because what other reason would there be for why Simmons is not here with me right now? Yeah, he feels betrayed. Why would she leave when I needed her the most?
The look. He's just like, is she in compliance?
Hi.
But it also just shows you the power of Hydra.
But if I'm wrong, we'll make her comply.
This is good. Oh, wait, hold up.
There's more.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
forget.
You were talking about brainwashing, weren't you?
It's not done often, but it's done. It's a lot of work, and some people aren't susceptible. It's mostly used on high-value targets.
Like you?
There's a lot of moments, little subtle moments in this throughout the episode that show you Sky's. She's trying to move on, but she's just sad about how things are not how they were before, and a lot of different reasons. She doesn't care for all the secrets. She feels put at distance by Coulson. Obviously, she misses Simmons. And she feels like, why wouldn't she know where Simmons is?
And I want you to believe me.
She even...
when I say it.
This, by the way, this motif right here, it may be one of the final times we hear it in the show. I don't know how many more times they bring back this motif that we're listening to by Ben McCreary, just to put that out there.
We're done here.
Which is a motif that was been used throughout the various episodes to when Sky's family was mentioned, I want to say. Or other emotional family kind of moments. But even Sky sitting in that control room in the bus, when her saying it reminds me of before, there were even mentions of, when she was talking about how, she had a shield badge for a day and the whole thing blew up. What I enjoyed so much more about seeing this episode again this time was just seeing much more of that this wasn't by any means an easy transition for really a lot of for as much as how Simmons and Fitz have gone through big changes, so has Sky, but I think hers is on the back burner because I guess it comes in more subtle ways. But I'm glad that the show is not forgetting about her in the midst of all these other characters. We got a lot here, particularly with these three, and then some other stuff on the side. But yeah, what a really good episode, of course. It's just the initial feeling of it. Let's go ahead and see Amwan's reaction.
God damn it, man. This was such a great episode. Oh, man. The fit stuff. So many questions answered here. We got to know what happened to Simmons, why she left. We got to kind of reveal the things that have been hidden from Fitz to him. Though he had to kind of go in this roundabout way to kind of force their hand a little bit. Though if he hadn't, they probably would not have had such a smooth transition once they arrive at that ship. But bringing, what was his name, Donnie, back into this, that was a nice little thing to bring back around, especially after all the setups with that, when they're talking about, all the little, the sandbox where they take people who are too dangerous or whatever and to keep an eye on them and all that stuff. Like, all these seeds have been set up, and like everything just continues to build and build and build and build on all of the foundation that's been laid before. It's honestly wildly impressive. I'm not gonna lie, like, having watched many shows with this type of runtime, especially with the episode count at this format, I've seen very few shows, barely any, that work like this and keep such a strong and consistent narrative all together. It's remarkable. I love the little missions that we got here. I like all the stuff with Simmons and her working this angle. The fact that we know that Coulson's aware and that May was aware and the rest of the team wasn't, but they became aware once this all happened in the middle of their little outing. So it just had to come out. It's just like the whole dynamic has completely shifted. And we talked about this a little bit before, now that they are the ones running the show. Now that Coulson's the one running the entire organization. He's not just ahead of their team, he's ahead of everything. And his attention is on the big picture. It's not all small, familial, and intimate like it used to be. And that's what Sky misses, especially in light of that whole revelation and everything that transpired while they were out on their mission. And just honestly seeing her progress as well. The way that she can maintain her composure in these intense situations, and the way they use that the BPM meter periodically throughout, from the shooting range to the skydive to the mission. She was always checking it, and it was always pretty much floating around the same spot, consistent. It's part of her training that May's helping her with to maintain focus in the heat of these situations. But the one thing in this episode that got a rise out of her is Ward. And then we look back to that watch, and it is going off the charts. That was a great little narrative device to include in the episode to kind of really hammer that home. I don't know if Ward's got another angle, if he's really just trying to prove that his loyalty was in fact with Garrett no matter what. He's not asking for any kind of forgiveness for the things that he's done, but he's trying to do this, I guess, in a way to prove that his feelings for her were never fake. To build upon that, it seems like, his feelings for everybody else also wasn't fake. And, I saw some people say that, like, he was trying to kill them. That was his act of killing them, was that thing. When I said, had he done what Garrett said, I said this before, and maybe somebody was just trying to, like, keep me away from spoilers or something like that. I don't know. But I saw some people, I thought at least, like, reinforce it, like, no, that was him killing them. Because my read of that was that he was giving them a fighting chance. That could be a lie hidden in half-truths, like Coulson was saying, because Ward is just really good at that. They've accentuated how good of a liar he is. He's not the best liar. Otherwise, he wouldn't have struggled with the whole, like, truth machine thing a couple episodes back. But he's very good at it, regardless. But, like, that was my read of it. That was what I got from the whole flashback with the dog. And I saw somebody say that, like, that was him that shot the dog. He just had to do it from a distance. He couldn't look it in the eyes and do it. That's why he expected them to suffocate and die in the ocean. So that he didn't have to see it. He didn't be face to face with it. That was his weakness showing that he was trying to distance himself from the kill, but he was still trying to kill them. But if we take it, what he says here at face value, I mean, that's not the case. And it reinforces what I was saying. It's like if he did that, they would have a chance to put out a beacon because those things would have that, which they did. They called that out. That's what they got Fury to come pick them up on. That's how I read that situation. The way the scenes are playing right now, I really do get the sense that he's trying not to redeem himself, but make up in some weird way for the things that he's done. But this was a really emotional episode. It was also a very tense episode, especially with Donnie going all Sub-Zero and everybody. Dude, like, that hotel owner who was just being threatened by Hydra got fatality'd just for trying to save his family, his business, himself. I feel bad for the guy, but yeah, I don't know how else you get out of that situation, but Donnie's gotten cold. Skye now knows that her father is alive, again, assuming she believes Ward. Now, we've seen on our side that he's been trying to tell her this for at least a couple episodes now, but every time, the conversation ends before he could get to that point. But with what happened with Fitz, I think she was finally willing to hear him out a little bit more. And now she's got that weight on her shoulders right now, which we again know that he's after her. I'm excited to see how all that unravels. But guys,
really good comments there. I feel exactly the same way, as if that's any surprise. Oliver Sava. Let's see here. For AV Club. After 2 episodes appearing as a hallucination in Fitz's mind, Simmons makes her proper return with one of the best sequences the show has ever executed. The breezy montage morning routine has a lot more personality than the usual S.H.I.E.L.D. scene, largely because of the cheery music choice of God Help the Girl by Belle and Sebastian Font, star Stuart Murdoch. This show doesn't spend much time with these characters in domestic environments being themselves, and going through Simmons' morning ritual creates an immediate sense of familiarity between the viewer and the returning character. The scene also introduces a refreshing lightness after a cold open of supervillain monologuing and secret agent brainwashing, shifting to a bright, optimistic tone until the reveal of Simmons' new employer darkens the mood again. The reason Simmons isn't with the Fitz anymore is because she's an undercover agent gathering intel, posing as a scientist for Hydra, but plot twist that injects a heavy dose of early Alias into the series. He gave the episode a B+. He called the sequence a bold stylistic choice that could help S.H.I.E.L.D. break out of its generic aesthetic. He praised the separation and subsequent development of the characters of Fitz and Simmons and highlighted Ian DeCaster's performance. Let me look at exactly where right here. So Fitz is able to expel the vision by admitting that it's not real, leaving him to face a horrifying chapter of his past without the imaginary support of his best friend. Fitz breaks down when he sees his former teammate, and without Simmons there to keep him in check, Fitz takes drastic measures to make Ward suffer by depriving him of oxygen. It's a vengeful moment that reveals how far Fitz has deviated from his old personality following his acute mental trauma. And Ian DeCastiger does strong work capturing the character's spiteful rage in that moment. Again, can't think of too many moments in season 1, but I want to say around this time, and this is just the general sense, David, is like in season 2, a lot of things just really begin to click. And for as much as we were saying, you know, a lot of subtleties that Elizabeth Henstridge brings to her performance, especially with this character in season 2, Ian DeCastiger is beginning to dial it up a notch with his character as well. And I think generally speaking, what's really making this show fire on all cylinders is the feeling of how much we've elevated to this new higher level. And everyone seems to feel that and know that, and they're giving it that much more. You know, I feel like even ourselves in the early episodes of season 1 didn't quite really realize the full potential of the direction that not only where these characters could be taken into, but also what their individual performers would be able to go with them. And in season 2, you're beginning to get a real sense of like, wow, so far already, we're so far away from where we began.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm already in it. I'm already with this journey, and I'm already with these characters, and I'm gonna go on this long road with them. And I love the fact that as early on as where we are here in season 2, in this episode 3, we're beginning to see some recognition as far as the ability of these performers here. So there's that. IGN, Eric Goldman. Okay, yeah, it was obvious Simmons wasn't Hydra. You don't tease something that potentially big to the extent that Marvel and ABC did this week, which is what they did, which is why everybody was like rolling their eyes. You wouldn't be advertising it this much. You would be trying to keep it away. Anyway, complete with releasing the clip following her going to work at Hydra, but thankfully the episode itself didn't try to make us think that for very long either, as it was quickly established that yes, she was a double agent. The race between S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra to reacquire Donnie Gill, aka Blizzard, and the reveal that the two organizations are in a constant hunt for the same assets these days was exciting. And once again, a Marvel supervillain's powers were really well portrayed this season, with Blizzard's ability to freeze conveyed in quite effective ways, including when he knocked over and smashed one guy. Pretty cool effect, I would say. The episode, again, underlined how much the show and the characters have changed for the better since we met them. Coulson is a very different guy now, and him taking the Hydra-like tactic of deciding Donnie either went with them or had to be taken out was very notable. I commend the writers for not underlining the scenario by having Skye, whose conversation with Ward on the topic was there to set up Coulson giving the same order, note this fact, or worse, to have her speechify about it. She simply did her job and shot Donnie, albeit with understandable misgivings on her face. After wisely having Ward sit out last week, he had his largest role so far this season this week, and the scenes with him were really well done. I may not want to see him get a redemption arc, but for now, it's pretty great seeing him try and convince everyone how regretful he is, and ponder how truthful he's being, or if he's simply pushing buttons. And wow, on the scene with Fitz and Ward, Fitz was the character I had the toughest time with in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s initial episodes. The joke of him and Simmons being so similar wore thin very quickly, and I had trouble seeing the point of the character. But this newly damaged Fitz is a truly tragic character it's easy to sympathize with, and Ian DeCastiger was excellent and heartbreaking as Fitz showed how much Ward had hurt him, barely able to speak in this presence, and then, in a ooh moment, nearly hurting him the same way by taking away his oxygen. This episode was nicely dovetailed with a lot of the info about Hydra we learned in Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Their ability to brainwash people was key to controlling Blizzard, that's and Agent 33, that's Donnie Gill he was referring to, and in their pursuit of people and gifted people is interesting. They don't mention it here, but it's pretty interesting how like we had Crusher Krill the other episode. It's again in that episode they don't ever say brainwashing, but I guess we're supposed to glean from this episode that they had brainwashed him. Well, they don't officially say that until the following season. A few. That's it. Oh, one of Eric's last note here. The show's sense of humor is more balanced and not as forced this season, as represented here by the great running joke of Hunter being owed one big time by May and Trip. I forgot to mention that, it's so funny. Who both got very funny lines in the form of "Don't be sorry, just wait" and "Man, I wanted to be the one." And then also saying that was a fun edit from Hunter running forward, guns blazing, on the ship to Mac playing a video game.
yeah, that was really good. I love that.
8.5 is what he gave it. Great. David, final thoughts on this episode?
No, this is really, really good. I really like this episode mainly because it shows how formidable and just scary Hydra is in general with the whole brainwashing thing, and those two dudes, Whitehall and his second in command, Bakshi, you know, they're scary. They're really intimidating. I really like that. And then also one thing I noticed that when you mentioned it when no, it wasn't. Was it? I can't remember. No. But either way, the scene where Sky was like, "Oh, Simmons is a horrible liar" and everything, and it kind of just hit me right there. That it's funny how much both Fitzsimmons, well, all three of them, Fitzsimmons and Sky, grow to be like kind of what they're not. Because Simmons specifically is not a good liar, but both of them eventually just have to keep playing the spy in every season. Especially, I think you see the peak of it with Fitz with when they were in the future, and he had to pretend to be some, what was it, like a bounty hunter or something. Yeah. And he had to like in a moment had to convince a whole bunch of people. It's like, yeah, I'm the most intimidating person here. Don't fuck with me.
The way to season 7, where interestingly enough, she pretends to be Agent Peggy Carter back in the 1950s.
That's true. Although that was more fun for her than it is scary. And then with Sky, I mean, it wasn't really. It's not like she wasn't capable of being like a really badass agent or anything like that. But it was very much focused that she was going to be trained to be badass, to be as good as Ward and May, all the way to becoming, the Inhuman, having the last battle against the main villain type of thing and all that. Like, it's kind of crazy, like, seeing this episode and just kind of hit me right there. And it's like, oh yeah, with Fitzsimmons specifically, like, they really do just improve on lying, being better spies than they are, being with the whole fighting agents and all that. So that was really cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it's really cool seeing Hydra being super intimidating.
Yeah, I agree with every word. Fantastic episode. Again, already giving you what a strong season this is shaping up to be. Mm-hmm. I think what you're feeling with these early episodes is just what momentum the show is having. It's like, wow, we're at a point now where it's like, it's going to be a while where we feel like the show is making any kind of missteps, if at all. And they're going to keep it, for the most part, rolling all the way through until the end of the series. Anyway, that's our show. For any of the material or comments that we said or we touched on here, if you want to have your say on anything, feel free to leave your comment down below. Until then, we will see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.